Let's talk Peacemaker, because this was me and Miracle actually. One thing that bothered me about this was I ended up accidentally catching some reviews after I wrote my notes out for this.
Yeah.
And I agreed with some of the points. I disagreed with others. But I try to not. I don't want that stuff to cloud my judgment of it.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Basically, what we're looking at here is the first 3 episodes were just released on HBO Max. Peacemaker, if you guys don't know, is a character. He was a standout character in the Suicide Squad movie. The Suicide Squad meaning the James Gunn version that came out in 2021, not the David Ayer version that came out in 2016. And what I will say is that I really enjoyed John Cena's portrayal. Miracle is not a fan of John Cena. I have less disdain for him, but in general, I enjoyed this performance because one thing about this is. Well, first, let's go through the other cast members. I would say that the 2 standout performers so far have been John Cena as Peacemaker and Freddie Stroma as Adrian Chase, as Vigilante.
I love his character.
Yes. Although I am not a fan of them making both, making Vigilante goofy, it works in this context. When you're swallowed up by the ridiculousness that is James Gunn's storytelling, you kind of the fact that it's kind of ruining a character you love fades away slightly for me. So there's this. They're both they have no morals. They are extremely violent. Both of them. And what I found is in the reviews, they talk about how how Vigilante is even more violent and immoral than Peacemaker is. So what I think is interesting about this is the other character I thought would be more of a standout would have been Jennifer Holland as Amelia Harcourt. She had a couple of moments that felt like possible brilliance, mainly in that scene where she when she does her witty banter back and forth, it doesn't always land. She has this one line where she restates his the famous line that Peacemaker said from the original Suicide Squad movie. He says, "I thought you cherished peace with all your heart, and you didn't care how many men, women, and children you had to kill to get it." Yeah. When she delivered that was good. And then the scenes of them when they're in the sniper perch in episode 3, those were good too. But the scene of her at the bar with him was cringe. Cringe.
Well, she did say that she just wanted to go to the bar to have a drink by herself, but these 2 guys are harassing her, and then you're just coming out of nowhere following her. It's
and maybe that's what left a bad taste in my mouth is the completely over the top. Now, okay, the dad, you can already tell that the dad is a racist. He watches an Alex Jones knockoff, and it's really over the top. It's really ham-fisted. Now, normally that would bother me. Yeah. Because it feels like preaching. But here's the thing. James Gunn's storytelling as a whole is always ridiculously over the top. So it's less... it bothers me less. Okay. Yeah. So say you take that same character, the dad, he's racist. He's clearly a parody of what they believe all right-wingers are. Yeah. Like right-wing people are, which is stupid and immature and extremely... devoid of actual interaction. You can tell they don't interact with people that view the world differently than them, right? James Gunn doesn't. Now, if you're telling a straight story and you add characters like that, like his dad, like those 2 guys at the bar, it doesn't land because it feels like a parody in something that's supposed to play as real life. Yeah. But the storytelling is so ridiculous, it doesn't really bother me.
Exactly. I feel like it's well written, but I just don't like it when they do modern politics into it.
So, and what I found is it was kept to a bare minimum, as close to a bare minimum as they can. What's weird to me is that this movie wasn't written that long after the Suicide Squad movie, and that part of the tone feels very different. It doesn't I didn't catch any of that in the Suicide Squad movie. I will say that one thing that James Gunn's storytelling suffers from is the confined nature of television. Yeah. Meaning that when he does these ridiculous stories that he tells with ridiculous characters acting ridiculously, it works in this environment where there's a giant starfish trying to fucking destroy the world. Yeah. Right? So the story and the character development seem to coincide Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Whereas in this, it seemed to work best once we finally found out what the butterflies were, and it's a supernatural threat, and then it really kicks into gear. When they're just in that like headquarters, and the Economos character is like bantering back and forth with Peacemaker, it doesn't land.
Yeah.
It doesn't work to me. Were there any parts that you felt really worked and parts that really didn't?
I forgot what her name is, but she's like the bigger lady.
Leota Adebayo. That's Amanda Waller's daughter.
Oh, okay. I was wondering who she was. I was so confused what her character was.
Yep.
I was like, why is she talking to Amanda Waller? Is she an employee? Why is she so close?
It's her daughter.
Okay. I like her character a lot. Like in the beginning, I was kind of annoyed because like they kind of made her the stereotypical lesbian black woman.
But she's got heart, and she comes across like a full-fledged human being.
Yeah,
right?
That's why I grew to love her more.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
like she made more sense. She was like, hold up. I asked you if your eagle is like friendly.
Yeah.
I know he's friendly to you. So this one scene, I think it was in episode 1 or 2, where basically like Peacemaker has a pet eagle named Eagly. And she was like, is it friendly? And he was like, yeah. And she tries to pet it and it bit her. And she was like, I thought you said it was friendly. And he's like, oh yeah, it's friendly to me. And she's like, no, I know it's friendly for you. I know
it's friendly to you. That's that part was that part was she's like in general, she comes across as like she's
more like the sound voice.
She's kind of normal, and everything else is just ridiculously happening around her.
Yeah.
So they resisted the urge to turn her hysterical and make her a stereotype. I love that. I do think that maybe the weakest link is the guy who plays Clemson Mern. I just don't think he has the charisma. Like, he's supposed to play strong and stoic in the stoic humor. Like it's supposed to come off as dry.
Yeah.
It doesn't really land. Like, there's that scene with him in Economos when they're putting the camera up in the tree, and he talks about personal growth.
Yeah.
And he makes all these like kind of like you can't tell if he's being
that part.
You can't tell if he's being serious or not. In the hands of like somebody with I guess more stage presence. I don't know. I'm not familiar with the actor, but the lines just don't land for me. Like, he's playing into that role the same way that Danielle Brooks is playing into the Adebayo role, but Danielle Brooks's acting seems to fit more in line with that. But it also does feel like a lot of this is like they're all just kind of side characters who get minimal development. I'm imagining that. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
One thing I hated the musical number at the beginning. I understand it fits the absurdist tone of the show, but it didn't really work for me. One thing I do think works is the reason why I think John Cena works so well as Peacemaker is you can tell that he's as violent as he is, and he's a lot less. That's the other thing. This feels like a different character. You didn't see the movie.
A little bit.
He's a much different. He was very violent, and he was very. There's way more emotion in him in this. It doesn't even feel like the same character in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
When he's portraying this character who's like this violent killer who's been sentenced to a gazillion years in prison because of how many people he's murdered. What you get here is a guy who deep down really wants to belong. Like, what do you remember the line when he's in the bar and he goes, "You think I'm handsome?"
Yeah.
He looks like a child.
He turns bashful because
that's good acting on Cena's part. Like, he pulls that off.
But the part that I kind of liked him was in the beginning where he the first episode where he's trying to order. He's like, "Hey, sweet cheeks, I'm ready to order." And like everybody's like staring at him. He's like, "What?" And they're like, "What? You know that means you're complimenting her butt, right?" And he's like, "No, I meant her face.
Yeah.
Like, she has sweet cheeks." And they're like, "No." And then my favorite character, Amanda Waller's like daughter, she's like, it's like saying like, "Hey, sugar tits."
Yeah.
And he was like, "Well, her boobs are too big to be sugar tits." And then like he points out who has the sugar tits. Like, that's the part that I like.
He comes off as very earnest and like he just wants to be friends with these people.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. Like, I saw a lot of negative reviews from people that I like.
Well, because there's like a lot of cringe to it. Like in the beginning when I first watched it, so I watched it before Brett, and I was watching it with our coworker Andrew, and Andrew absolutely hates the series.
Yep, and I get it. I get why people would hate it. Look, what I find most compelling about most of James Gunn's work is that next to all the violence, all of the sexual innuendos, all of the sexual intercourse, all of the crazy monsters and absurdity, there's usually a lot of heart in the message. In the Guardians of the Galaxy, it's family. It's the same thing in the Suicide Squad. It's these characters trying to find themselves. If you see a movie, there's a character named Ratcatcher 2 who absolutely brings more heart and soul to this movie, but it's brought out through James Gunn's writing of the character.
Oh, speaking of Ratcatcher, they brought him up. Him. They brought up that character in the series,
and there's a lot of self-referential humor. The Aquaman has sex with fish.
Yeah.
There's okay. I cringed at the Pepe. Did you hear the Pepe reference?
I think I like zoned out for a bit.
When he talks about the Aquaman has sex, he goes, I heard it on Twitter, and I refuse to believe that Pepe the Frog 89 would lie to me for no reason.
Yeah, I think I zoned out of that.
They're very clearly taking jabs at people that they believe are bad at the opposite end of the political spectrum, and I honestly, as somebody who is very quick to notice that stuff, found that it did not bother me in this as the way it would in a lot of other stuff. So I can give James Gunn a lot of credit for that. I don't know if he'll be able to pull that off for the other 6 episodes.
Yeah.
6, 7. I think it's 8 episodes, right?
Not bad.
5 more episodes. So, and that's going to be the cool thing. We're going to be able to review this once a week. So starting next week on the 20th, another episode comes out. It's called The Chode Less Traveled. So I think other than Adebayo, what character do you think, other than Adebayo, who you like the most now, and Cena and Peacemaker, who do you think is going to end up standing out the most?
I think Freddie.
Yeah, Freddie Stroma.
Freddie Stroma. Yeah.
Adrian Chase.
Yeah, basically his character is really good, even though, how you said, in the original comic books, he's supposed to be, more cold-hearted, less emotions. But I really like how James Gunn kind of wrote his character, where he's kind of funny, but he doesn't care about shooting people. Like that one scene with the butterflies, where, John Cena couldn't do it because it's a whole family. He's like, hey, buddy, let me take over. And he's just, humming and, shooting at the same time.
The funny part about that is I feel like that would have worked better if they hadn't revealed that they were butterflies, because the moment that they were revealed to not even be human, there should have been Peacemaker should have had no qualms about pulling the trigger, but now he doesn't feel like the Peacemaker of old. But like you said, there's also the parts when I kill a murderer, or when I kill a guy who sells heroin to children, or does graffiti. He starts listing, Adrian Chase starts listing less and less serious crimes as to reasons that he kills people. That was really clever writing. I'm worried that the story will get bogged down in the dad, meaning the dad's a racist, dad's a stereotype.
Okay, so the part with the dad that Brett is talking about, there's a scene where his dad is wrongfully accused of a crime that John Cena did.
Yeah, that Peacemaker did.
Yeah, and then when he went to jail, all the prisoners basically defended him because there was somebody who was sitting in his spot, and they all kneeled to him and did the Hitler salute and said, "Hail White Dragon." And I was so confused, and they asked Brett, or was it you or Andrew?
I don't know. It's not something I'm familiar with. So
okay, I think I asked Andrew. I was like, I don't get it.
Yeah, well, and it's a KKK reference.
Yeah.
So that's cringe. That's very cringe. I don't know if that's from the comics. I don't know what. Like I said, that's it's not a character I'm familiar with. I could just be, like I said, these are more obscure characters, and I'm more of a normie. But in general, just the racism angle is just cringe to me. So, if it gets bogged down in that, it could be frustrating. But in general, also Judo Master was freaking awesome.
Oh, yeah.
The guy who plays Judo Master is fantastic.
Yeah, I love that character, too, because he's, eating hot Cheetos, and they're do you want to eat something else? And he's like, no, I'm good. Yeah. And then when
the other guy says they're empty calories.
Yeah, he's like, so what? And then John Cena is like, I want some. And he's like, oh, you want some? And he kicks it.
He's hurting him with hot Cheetos. It's the greatest thing ever. I think there's a lot of potential here, and a lot of people didn't give it. It's funny too, because I gave Superman and Lois episode 1 a more harsh review than I'm giving this, and arguably there was more to be worried about in here, but Gunn's writing is so covered it so well that it didn't bother me as much. So I understand that most of the humor that you're seeing in this is very, very mid 2000s.
Yeah.
But in an age now where everything is extremely politically correct, I'm fine with a little bit of 2008 humor, even if they're not poking fun back the other way. Like, I'd like him to see him, like, if he's gonna bring stupid, boring, annoying modern politics into it, at least be more even-handed with it.
Yeah.
But if he keeps the writing up the way he's going, it's not going to bother me as much as it could. I had articles pulled up on this. I say we don't even need them.
We don't need them because, like, we both watched it and we loved the series.
There's an article here about Peacemaker mocks its own fans that I kind of liked at the top and then kind of fell off at the bottom. They talk about how the MCU is very they hold their superheroes in high deference, meaning that they're very highly regarded, whereas they're taking the piss out of their own heroes here, meaning like what he says about Aquaman.
Yeah.
He talks about all that stuff. Did I have anything else listed here? I do think one of the hardest parts about this is like you do have to redeem him for killing Rick Flag, who is like arguably like one of the few on your mic stand. Sorry guys, I'm gonna switch the camera to Miracle here so you can see her. Yep, she's got to get rid of it. We're good. One thing I would have loved to see, because it's the character of Rick Flag is played by Joel Kinnaman, who's a fantastic actor.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have seen a Rick Flag series starring Joel Kinnaman, directed by David Ayer, who did the original Suicide Squad movie.
Yeah.
So I didn't really have any other notes in here. I said he has that like masculine bravado, which he pulls off because of how enormous he is compared to, like, you don't realize how big a wrestler is until you see him stand next to regular people.
Exactly. Like, but also I'm kind of grossed out with that single vein that goes from his chest to his bicep. That is so gross.
This show is worth watching just for the scene where he has sex with the girl after the bar.
He comes and he says freedom,
and he yells freedom as loud as he can. It really is worth watching just for that scene. It is hilarious. So guys, I'm giving this a high recommend to watch the first 3 episodes, and then if they are up, if they fall into something that you think that you'd enjoy or you enjoy, I do recommend watching the rest of the way through. So what do you think as well?
I think so too. There's funny scenes in it. Like, if you get over like the modern politics where they throw here and there, it's actually a pretty good show. You just need to tune it out.
Yep, that's and like I said, I think that's always the goal. But Gunn's writing makes it easier than a lot of other shows do. Yeah,
because like he just throws it and then they never revisit it. But I did search up the character White Dragon, and there's conspiracy theories that they might include a Nazi super team, because the White Dragon's similar to the Vigilante, where like he has no superpowers, but he's good in close contact.
But it's an actual character. Okay, all right. So I like I said, that's not one that I'd been familiar with. So that's good. I mean, that's good. That's at least it's like, of course they're making it into a modern reference, but we'll give them a pass right now. We'll see how the writing goes for episode. I say more Judo Master.
Yeah.
More of and if Amelia Harcourt is going to do better, the actress, her scenes with Cena tend to be the ones that do the best.
Yeah.
Meaning like the scenes where she's just talking with Economos or the other characters at the headquarters don't really land for me.
Yeah.
But the scenes with her and Cena at least have a better chance of that. So we will see. What character? So you think Adebayo's the best? She'll probably become far more important.
Yeah, I really like her character because like in the first scene she does like talk to Amanda Waller through Skype.
Yeah.
And then like that one scene where she tells like her wife like, "Hey, I think we need to go. Like we need to place these somewhere else because I don't think it's safe." And like her wife legit like has a legitimate argument. She's like, "You moved me out here, and now you're telling me that you want us to be separated."
Yep. I mean, that part, if there's anything that I thought didn't really work, it was like bringing the wife, unless that comes into play later.
Well, she is in the opening scene, so I think she has more important roles.
So maybe the wife gets kidnapped later or something. But
or maybe her wife is like secretly a secret agent.
Yeah, like if her wife doesn't end up having more of a role later on, I think it was a needless add of a character?
No, I don't think it's needless. I think it creates her character to be more human because she has something that she loves.
Okay.
And like.
Okay. Yeah. No, you're right.
Yeah. Like they're trying to make the character more diverse as a human.
Yep.
I don't know. Like maybe the wife has more of an important role because Judo Master, like he had like a few scenes, but it was like the best scenes ever.
He's listed as 7 episodes, so he'll be in, what I meant by that more was like maybe they could have done it where she talks to the wife on the maybe they don't need to cast her like I guess not. No, you're right.
No, but I like because in the opening scene of episode 1, this is what annoyed me a little bit, but later I grew to love it. So she's talking to her wife. They move into the hotel room or a motel room. What's the difference?
I thought it was like an apartment. Oh, you're right.
What's the difference?
I don't know. Hotel is nicer than a motel.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the difference.
Yes.
But basically, like, she's talking, and then they talk about their future because they have 3 tiny little toy dogs. And, like, she's talking to her wife about their future. She was like, if we have a baby, I want to name her, so Chris. Make sure you write this down so we can censor this. But she writes down, if we have a daughter, I want to name her Octopussy. If it's a boy, we're going to name him Sharknado.
You know that's like a character from a James Bond movie, right?
Yeah, but
you don't need to edit that out.
But I don't know if YouTube will let us say it or not.
I think we'll be fine.
Okay, but basically her wife was like, I hope we have a son. And she was like, why? And she was like, because it's easier to explain to my mom that our son is named Sharknado than Octopussy.
That is probably true. Like I think she'll end up being a very, very important character towards the end. I also there needs to be more of if seen as like it needs to be more of him and Peacemaker and Vigilante because they are clearly the best on-screen duo as far as characters working together.
Oh, that's weird. So I just did more research on White Dragon, and they appeared another character named Richard Dragon, which he's supposed.
Oh yeah.
He's supposed to be in the Arrowverse.
Yeah, he is. He is played by Dolph Lundgren.
Yee. I don't know, but I don't know.
No, Richard Dragon was played by Kirk Acevedo.
But they're doing a weird correlation with those 2 characters. They might be the same character or 2 different characters, but it looks like 2 different characters to me.
Yeah, Kirk Acevedo played Richard Dragon in season 6 of Arrow, I believe. Okay. I could be misremembering that.
Again, if you don't like John Cena, you don't have to watch this. I don't like it, but I do like the story because it's really funny. I like this a lot because it's hard to enjoy humor nowadays.
Yep. I think maybe that's why I like it is because I'm so starved for like any type of decent humor in these things that anything that's not MCU humor. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Not the cookie cutter boilerplate stuff. So I enjoyed the self-referential stuff to like Aquaman and to Superman and all that stuff.
They did that really well.
Yep.
That's what I like about it.
Yep.
And also Peacemaker. I like his character a little bit because like he tries. He doesn't realize certain things that he does is wrong.
Yeah. He's
kind of oblivious.
He's a big kid.
Yeah.
He's a very violent, he's a very violent big kid.
Yes.
So, yes, I think that's a good. That seems like about as good of a review as me and you could have given something like this because me and you are not always in agreement.
Yeah. Well, no, I agreed with you for certain episodes of Hawkeye.
That is true. In the middle there.